Okay, today's presentation is going to be on Abraham Lincoln. And Abraham Lincoln was one of my favorites. In fact, he was a historical hero of mine. And back then there was two basic parties, just as today, and primarily Democrats and Whigs, which later became Republicans in 1854. And as everybody knows, Abraham Lincoln was behind the emancipation of slaves. And also, Abraham Lincoln was a godly man. And what drove the emancipation of slaves and also the Civil War, in fact, was there was some new territories being established. And, excuse me, what was happening is a lot of the statesmen wanted slaves to go into the new territories. And Abraham Lincoln put his foot down and said he didn't want to build a slave-based economy in these new territories. And as a result, turn the page. He said the obvious. Lincoln insisted at that point, he pushed ahead with the emancipation, and he said that he insisted that civil liberties of every U.S. citizen were at stake, both white and black. He also had this quote, and I'm sure everybody heard this quote, but they probably didn't realize that Abraham Lincoln was the one behind this quote. He said, "A house divided against itself cannot stand." Now, there was a group of people that came out during this time, and they were called Radical Republicans. And Radical Republicans, during and after the Civil War, were a member of the Republican Party committed to emancipation of the slaves and later to the equal treatment and enfranchisement of the freed blacks. So let me see if I can get the camera centered on this. So now I knew what disenfranchisement, but I actually looked up what enfranchisement meant, and it was a word specific during that time to the black people, and it meant the right to vote. So the Radical Republicans and Lincoln were pushing to get black people the right to vote. And I know today most people, if you know, most Democrats were thinking it was their party that was behind Lincoln and pushing for civil liberties for the African Americans, but the reality was that it was the Republicans. And you know, I think it's important that the facts be put out there and let people judge for themselves. And so that's basically what I'm doing with this, and I hope people take note of it and judge for themselves. Especially nowadays, there is so much misinformation out there, and as we all know, this country is severely divided. On the next page, I'm just basically put out what the votes were. This was the vote to abolish slavery. It was taken on 12/15/1862. The Republicans voted 75 votes in favor to abolish slavery. There was only 2 votes by the Democrats to abolish slavery and 1 vote by the Union votes. So there you have it. Overwhelmingly supported by the Republicans. Majority of the Democrats voted against it. Only 2 were in favor of it. And I hope this video was helpful, especially to the Democrats. I would like them to see this and hopefully give them some knowledge as to what Abraham Lincoln stood for and who really supported him back then, and who really supports the African American people today. Okay, thank you, and I will be making more videos. Hope you look at those as well.